This is the Sheep Guarding Llama vlog for the 17th of January, 2022. I'm Scott Allen Miller. Welcome to the show from Las Bonitas, León, Nicaragua. Today is Monday. It is a gorgeous day. The weather is perfect. The sun is out. There's a nice cool breeze. It's just great. And I'm doing the video on the early side because we have no internet this morning. So our morning is mostly about trying to figure out what to do when there's no internet. Of course, we live on the beach, so sitting with coffee on the beach is always a possibility. This is the relaxing life here, more or less, so it's not really a big problem. It's great to get out, go for a walk, or do whatever, since it is so nice. So it's not the big problem. It's not like back home in the US where you're like, oh no, the power's out, now we're just gonna sit around doing nothing. I shouldn't say power, the internet is out, we're gonna sit around doing nothing. Maybe clean or whatever, but that's kind of it here. It's actually like, oh, this is our opportunity to enjoy the fact that we live here a little bit when there's no way to actually get work done. I am, however, getting some work done. First of all, I'm doing the videos while I have a chance. I'm a little bit behind because it was just the weekend and stuff, so I'm often struggling a little bit to catch up, so taking care of that this morning. And the big thing going on here today is that Minerva has an infection. She was spayed last week, of course, and something is wrong there. We took pictures of her this morning, and the doctor wants her to come in, and she is prepped for surgery just in case. So at 2:30 this afternoon, she and Oliver, formerly known as Trio, or B, the little puppy that we rescued, are both going in to see the doctor. Oliver is going in because his leg is now healed in theory, and the pin needs to be removed because he's a little dog and he can't keep a pin in because he's growing, obviously. So the two of them are going in this afternoon. Hopefully everything is okay with Minerva. She definitely has, we're pretty confident she has an infection, but she is acting like she's okay. So we're hoping it's not too bad and that they don't have to do another surgery. Hopefully it's just keeping her on antibiotics or whatever. But it's a bit of concern there. So Dominica and Paul are taking the animals in this afternoon with Leo and Yvonne when they go in to do the shopping and stuff in León. So that is the big event of the day. There's not a whole lot else scheduled since we have no internet. I'm mostly just doing the videos, and I'm going to be editing a Drive Warp episode that I have partially done, and who knows? Other than that, I have no idea what I'll be doing today. Maybe getting out and going for a walk and enjoying some of this beautiful weather. We do have a meeting with the architect again in León tomorrow, so early in the morning at about 7:30. Paul, Dominica, I, Alan, and Anna are all packing up and heading into the city to go see our architect and have a good discussion about what the options are with the new house and new property, and getting that all underway because we are ready to make this happen. There's really, at this point, nothing for us to be waiting for, so we want to get that underway. And at this point, we're pretty confident that we are both building houses, obviously, because that is where we all intend to live. And Alan is super unhappy with the mosquito situation in his current house, so he's under a bit of pressure to move on with that and get out of there as soon as he can. We know that he is going to be building a hair salon up at the new property. Hair salon, nail salon, that kind of stuff is going to be right next door to us, which is really handy. You know, Dominica will be able to go do all of her stylist things without even leaving the property. That's pretty cool, and it's a business that for the most part is missing here in the area, so we're hoping that that'll actually be really beneficial to town. Like that's a pretty cool thing to add, and Anna will be running that, so it'll keep her busy, that she'll actually have, you know, a business to be running right there without having to travel anywhere. So that's really nice, and of course that helps. Anything that builds traffic back there is good for us, that it keeps the area, you know, busy and safe and interesting, and makes it easier to I've got a little something hanging off my hat. Easier to make other things happen. Our plan is we're going to be building, and it was my idea originally, oh, we should put like a little cafe, maybe an ice cream place, you know, have a little bit of business back there, and that has kind of taken off, and I thought it was going to be, and it was for a while, hardest to convince Paul that that's what he would want to do, to have business that close to the house, but really the property is so long that there isn't that big of a problem. You can actually have quite a bit of business in front and stuff in the back. So now we're kicking around ideas like digital nomad housing, Airbnb space, a restaurant, a cafe, an ice cream place, bodega for the hotel, a public pool with day passes. There's a lot of things that we're kicking around as an idea for back there, and for me, I think it makes sense. I would really like to see a lot of stuff happening back there. I think we could have a really, really cool property that isn't too expensive, that we can grow organically, and is mostly things that we want to use: a cafe, an ice cream shop, a bakery, a store for. We want to do potentially a pulperia, but one that specifically does not sell what the other pulperias sell, because we don't want to compete. We don't want to take business away from any of the existing businesses. There's a lot of things you can't buy in town, so we could, in theory, stockpile the peanut butters, the Nutellas, the SD cards, things that tourists need. And of course, we want to have a much bigger shop for women's clothing and swimsuits and those kinds of things. That's very popular at the hotel. There's no reason for us not to have that up there as well. And then the hotel can be like, oh, do you like our selection? You want to see more? Go up to the big shop just around the corner and see all that we have up there. So we're hoping to make a really complementary business to our current business and a complementary business to the village in general. And talking to Silvio, who owns Food Rock Ave in León, and who comes down to the beach often, he feels that the location that we have is actually really good, and that if we do it right, we can really create a destination that people will come from León to see, and we don't need to worry about the amount of traffic and stuff back there. And the business that we're looking at making does not need to be very busy to be quite successful. If we sold one article of clothing every couple days, if we had just a few people up for meals, we probably won't open every day. We're able to potentially make money, or at least cover our costs, without needing to worry about bringing in a lot of people or whatever, simply because of the way we'll be building and the way we'll be approaching it, and that we'll be using it ourselves as part of our space. So that is kind of the plan. We're building like this village sort of thing in the front. We keep calling it the village. And then having the house set way back, because while we're only 1.7 acres, we are extremely narrow, so the physical distance going back is extraordinarily large. So that's kind of what we're thinking. So we'll most likely have a house very far towards the back to give us separation from the other things, and we may have an orchard in between. We want to have quite a bit of space for the dogs to run, that they can just go outside and do their thing and have their own space and not need to be watched over all the time when they're just outside. And we're pretty sure we're going to end up getting a goat to help maintain the yard. So that's what we're thinking currently. And as always, those plans change day to day, but we've put in weeks and weeks of thinking and planning towards this, and this is where we've arrived at this point. So most likely a small village with a pool, either pretty close to the middle or nearby, that we use with day passes, and we'll almost certainly have a bar, restaurant, cafe, ice cream, bodega, and tienda up there, clothing tienda de ropa up there. Those are the pretty sure it's going to happen. And then Alan is just looking at putting in the salon, but a pretty big salon with a lot of features. So that's going to be a lot of space and multiple people working there. Probably someone specializing in nails, one or two people specializing in hair, which is not a huge salon. In the US that would be pretty small, but here that's quite a large facility, and there's no place that does nails in town. Just offering nails makes them the biggest one here in both Las Piñatas and Ponaloya, which is why it's probably going to be quite successful. There's really no competition, so being able to mix those things together gives them a pretty huge advantage. With the internet out all day, I just spent the day doing as much as I could doing videos. I walked all over town and did walking tours until the camera overheated and gave up. I did as many dailies as I could, and then spent the day doing video editing so that I could get things uploaded when possible, and hung out with the kids quite a lot playing video games. We couldn't watch any movies, but we did manage to get a lot of video game playing in, and we had a nice day. It was kind of relaxing not being able to really do any work. I did get to do a little bit, because eventually we were able to connect to Playa Roca. We figured out that their internet was working, and my office is right against them. No sooner than you try to do the update and the battery dies. All right. So it was really a nice relaxing evening. I did manage to get some amount of stuff uploaded once we got some internet, but it was very spotty because we're just on Wi-Fi, and their equipment is not the most reliable. Not that ours is perfect, but ours is pretty decent for the most part. At least in my office area, we're on the newer equipment, not the stuff that was here before we moved in. And we kind of called it a nice, relaxing evening. Now, later on, Liesl and I went to watch Aliens once we figured out that we could get internet from next door. The TV does connect. So we're like, this is awesome. We have about an hour left of Aliens. We're going to watch that. But right as we went to start it, Liesl asked questions about the artwork in Aliens, and we started talking about Geiger and Emerson, Lake and Palmer, who he did a lot of artwork for, and where I used to work. And we got into a long discussion about work and careers and life choices and all kinds of things, and talking about video games and stories. And we ended up talking for about 6 hours and completely didn't get to watching the movie, and we're up until nearly 3 a.m. Just talking, and then knowing I have to be up tomorrow to go to tomorrow the 18th, I have to go into León pretty early in the morning, I think about 7:30, so that's going to be an early morning because I got to get up and walk the dogs, got to get everything done, dressed, ready, out the door at 7:30, and Liesl is going to have to come watch the dogs early in the morning because Dominica and Paul are going with me to León tomorrow. We have our meeting with the architect first thing in the morning. So yeah, it's going to be a very short night tonight, but Liesl and I had a really nice time talking, and she's very inspired to get working on her video game and has lots of cool ideas for now and for the future. I will see all of you tomorrow on Tuesday from León.